All right, excited to have a new guest on the Breakaway. First-time guest, Jonathan Ricketts, coming into the office, into the studio. Thanks for doing this, man. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, and nice to meet you. This is the first time I've met you, which is crazy because typically I'm usually out at camp earlier on in the season. But anyway, nice to meet you. You got a nice tan already, and it's February, man. What's up with this? That's just you, huh?
No, I think that came from Tucson probably. The week we spent down there. So.
Man, am I jealous. No, it looks good, man. So let's start with Tucson. Obviously, you guys go on a trip. How many days were you there? 5?
7.
7 days.
Yeah,
so a full week.
Yep.
What was that like to just be fully entrenched in, obviously, a lot of matches, a lot of training, a lot of elements, but also being around the guys for a full week? What was that like?
Yeah, it's always good. Nice to kind of get away for preseason and, eliminate all distractions. And you're, really bonding with your teammates, spending a lot of time together, a lot of sessions, a couple sessions a day at times, and, just really putting the pieces together, getting ready for the regular season.
I know Briggs always has something team bonding planned. What did you guys do this year, team bonding wise?
We went to Topgolf, so that was nice. It was fun.
Yeah? How'd you do?
I swung one-handed, so.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, who was the worst guy by far? I heard some whispers.
There were some pretty bad. Oh man, I don't know if I can do this. I would say Davion was probably one down there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, he's only been.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame him.
I don't blame him at all.
But yeah,
he probably wouldn't be where he was if he was any good at golf.
Right.
Who else? Anybody else you can think of? Because there's a group of guys obviously who we know play a lot of golf. Yeah. Jack, Connor, Nick. Yeah. So I'm sure they were.
Yeah, there was kind of different divisions, in different bays. So there was the top bay, and then I was all the way down at the bottom one. So I would have fit in down there. I just couldn't really have a go.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I feel like that's the thing about Top Golf is it's an even playing field. It doesn't matter how good you are, necessarily. It just matters if you're hitting targets and it's sometimes it tracks the when they go in. Sometimes it doesn't.
It's all about points.
Yeah, man. So you could be horrible and just chip it into the nearest ones, and you could beat somebody who's hitting it off the back net. Right. That's kind of the game.
Yep.
So exactly. I think that's what's fun about it. How are the coaches, by the way?
Good.
They're good at they're good at Top Golf.
Yeah, I mean they were all the way down in the opposite bay, so I only caught a couple swings, but yeah.
I feel like
Luke was very impressive. Luke's
Luke's a scratch golfer.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's mentioned it a few times.
He has.
I'm sure. All right, so training camp. You've been here. How many weeks you been in Sacramento so far?
Oh, since the 15th, I think.
Okay, so a little over a month. Yeah, as we're recording this on the 23rd.
Yep.
Of February. You got season coming up. What has it been like in camp so far? You're over a month in, getting in with the guys. Obviously, a lot of returning players. You're not one of those players. What has it been like to try and break into that group? I know they've been really working on making sure everybody feels like a part of the family. But what is that like coming into a team when there's so many returners?
I think the things that I've brought to the club, just who I am and the player that I am, has just kind of seamlessly molded into what the club's about, what the DNA is here at Sacramento Republic. So I think it's been pretty natural transition for me, and really loved getting to know the guys and playing with them. So it's been good so far. Yeah,
and what about on the pitch in terms of training, in terms of the preseason matches? What are some of the things you've seen that you've liked so far from the team?
I like the level of intensity. Everyone wants to win, and there's big tackles in training, and people getting into each other, and so it's just a winning mentality, 24/7. So that's a very, very big positive. Is there some trash talk going on during camp with various guys? I know there's some guys who like to chip. Talk. Yeah. Every once in a while, you'll see a couple guys get into it here and there, but that's part of it. You want that competitiveness level, because then that makes everybody a little bit better. Mm-hmm. What has it been like going up against? You guys have played a lot of different preseason matches: Sounders, Earthquakes, Central Valley. What have you seen from your guys on the pitch that you've been happy with so far? We've been really solid defensively. We haven't allowed many goals at all. A decent amount of clean sheets, and just good shape and good pressure on the ball and good communication in the back. So that's been a huge positive, is just keeping the ball out of our net. What is the mentality like in preseason? I guess different matches in the preseason are different, right? In terms of
all right, you gotta be careful because you're slowly building up to be able to go 90, but at the same time you obviously want to play well. So how do you kind of balance those things going into various matches in the preseason?
Yeah, sometimes it's easy to get carried away by results in preseason when that's not necessarily the most important thing. Early on in preseason, it's a lot more about fitness and getting your GPS numbers up and things like that, and getting sharp back on the ball again. After an off season, as you progress through preseason, it becomes more of an intent to know how to get results and to know your team and to be really 100% sharp for that first game.
You come from RGV, a team no longer in the league, and I'm curious in terms of what that process was like. We had Connor Donovan on when he came from Oklahoma City when that team was going through. Like, what was that process like, hearing about what's going on with RGV in terms of the business operations?
We didn't know really anything. There were some rumors even during preseason, that the club didn't know what they were going to do, and ownership was a little bit up in the air. But as the season, personally, the longer the season went on, the more confident I was that there was going to be a 2024 because we hadn't heard anything yet.
But what's that like? Like you're trying to go in and play and focus, and there's this distraction kind of lingering.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I talked with my agent about it a lot, and shout out Jesse. He does a great job.
Not a lot of agent shout outs in this podcast, so I love it.
Shout out
Jesse.
He always does a great job of keeping me informed and staying in touch with other clubs and coaches, just in case things were to go south, like in for instance what happened in RGV. So I think I put myself in a good spot from the season on the field, and he did an awesome job behind the scenes too of making sure that if things did go south, that we had a backup plan.
Now you're here in Sacramento. I would say a little more stability, right? What is that like? What's your thought process coming in when you were knowing, hey, I'm going to be signing with Sacramento?
Yeah, it was another conversation with my agent too. It's like, is that something that you want to do? And that's kind of been my goal for the last couple of years, is to get to a club that does have the capability of winning championships and fighting for the top spots. So that's been on my list, my to-do list for a couple of years now. So I'm excited to be here at Sacramento. What's
kind of the biggest differences you've noticed? You mentioned the competitiveness in camp, but what has been the biggest difference going from RGV to Sacramento year to year in terms of just camp so far?
There's a level of positive energy and confidence among the group that I hadn't experienced before, and just support for one another that's been really good, for sure.
So obviously you saw the way Sacramento was knocked out of the playoffs last year in a relatively devastating factor. I've talked to a lot of the guys, talked to Coach. That's obviously something that is there in terms of motivation for those returning guys. But for you as a new guy, how do you, because you didn't really obviously feel that pain of that loss, but how do you kind of join in on that mentality of wanting to win that championship? Or do you even join in on that aspect in terms of specifically feeling that loss? Is that like how is that something you deal with?
Yeah, I mean, it's not personal to me necessarily, but it's something that you just kind of have to, and I'm happy to jump on board with and, ride that emotion, ride that motivation with the guys and just try to get back at it for sure.
How is some of the bonding being on the field with some of your fellow defenders, whether it's Jack, Connor, whomever, Lee? I mean, you have so many good guys, some characters as well. But what has that been like for you to kind of mold with that group?
It's been good, learning to trust each other and, have each other's backs, especially because, you're not perfect all the time. So you need to make sure to have each other's back and, motivate each other to defend well and then, be good on the ball and learn really who you're playing next to on both sides of you. So, as a right back, whether it's, Jared or Chibi or whoever it may be, and then whoever, the right midfielder is or right winger is, just kind of knowing the guys around you really well. So it's been good.
Is there any sort of friendly competition that's been going on amongst, I guess, probably the wingback spots to, hey, who can get the most assists, probably who can get the most goals? Has there been anything like that going on at camp at all?
No?
No,
I don't think so, no.
All right. What about being so far in the city? It's only been a month. I know camp is probably the most grueling time. Have you been able to go out and explore at all? You've been able to check things out?
Not too much. Whenever we get a day off at this point during preseason, it's just, pretty.
Rest.
Yeah.
I get
pretty
it.
exhausted. So just
And the weather
taking
hasn't
some
been
time.
great either.
Yeah, it's been, surprisingly rainy here. So
Yeah, that's been the brutal part. Is
Yeah.
the last 2 years, like guys expecting to come to California and
Yeah.
expecting the sun. It's sunny out the last couple of days, which is nice, but it's been very overcast.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're looking forward to having the sun out for some of these upcoming weeks.
yes.
In terms of when you were having conversations in the offseason with Mark and Todd, what was kind of the conversations about, hey, come to Sacramento, here's what we have built. What was some of those conversations like? I know a lot of that was with your agent, but what were some of those things you talked about with?
Yeah, I had, conversations with both Mark and Todd, myself, and they were, really excited to have me and I was just as excited and honored to be wanted here by, a top club in the league. So I think the feeling and the respect was mutual there. And, they both feel and I feel as well that, I can make a difference with the club and, really help the team in accomplishing big things this year.
In terms of the fans, you've played against us, obviously, at Hard Health Park. Good fan base. Is that something that you are, I wouldn't say most excited about, but definitely excited to get into the season and kind of feel the fans on your back?
For sure. I've played in multiple stadiums with opposing fans like, Sacramento's.
Yeah.
And it's fun and electric playing against, those fans,
Sure.
but I can't imagine, how much better it's going to be having those fans.
Is that what fires you up?
Supporting us. Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
So we got opening night coming in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of things that you're thinking about as motivating factor to get ready and really put on a show?
Definitely. Like a lot of the guys have said that is the fans make it, such a difference and they make it so worth it on match days. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Excited to hear that. What connections do you have on the squad? Is there any? Did you play with any of the players who are on the team now before, or
None.
did you? None, really.
None of the guys
That's pretty
don't.
rare. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like. What about in terms of know a guy through a guy? Hey, I talked about this guy from a former teammate who has played with him. Have you had any of those connections?
Yeah, for sure. There's been a lot of those connections. A couple of the guys that were RGV, Roro, and Connor. And,
Right.
I played against Dami a lot.
Okay.
In League One.
Right.
He was at Omaha and I was in Chattanooga, and then also, Sacramento RGV matchups. So, I've gotten to know him kind of behind the scenes over the years or playing against each other. And just, the soccer world's a small world, so there's definitely, connections made all over the place.
Yeah. I know like you mentioned the Connor playing at RGV, Roro playing at RGV, Roro with a historic free kick, I would say, for RGV. What was that, 3 years ago? 21.
Yeah.
21. Phoenix, yeah, who at that time, prior to even this, was rival for Sacramento because the year before they beat us in the playoffs on a controversial handball goal. I don't know if you've heard about this.
I'm not
That
sure.
player may or may not have just signed with Vegas. But just for some people listening, they'll know who I'm talking about. Most people, actually. So you haven't had a chance to really explore the city. Have you had any trainings at the stadium yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
It's
yet.
coming next week, right?
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure that day before. I've talked to some of the guys about it, but I'm sure that day before the first couple games is going to be electric out there at the stadium to kind of visualize. All right, this place is going to be full in 24 hours.
Yeah.
What's that mindset for you like? How do you approach the season knowing like, hey, you're kind of in the home stretch of training camp, you're gearing up, but you still got to stay focused. How do you try and balance those things?
Yeah, we were just talking about it today. Like it's a long preseason. In each preseason game that you play, you're just kind of wishing it was the real one, and getting more motivated for the real one. And Coach Mark showed us, a picture of the new turf that they're laying down, the new grass that they're laying down at the stadium, and so it was just a little tease for us, a little motivation, just to be ready for that night, March 9th.
I think the pitches looked as good as it's ever looked. I was out there yesterday.
Okay.
It
nice.
looks. It looks as good as it's ever looked, which is good. I mean, we've had some really nice pitches over the years. I think this one is the best. I don't know if that adds to the motivating factor. There's nothing like a good pitch, though, right? Yeah. In terms of I want to ask you. So memories playing against Sacramento. Obviously playing against Sacramento. Obviously last year. What were some of the things that you remember about coming into Hard Health Park playing against Sacramento that you're excited to have the script flipped to playing for Sacramento now?
I mean, whenever we came to play in Sacramento, obviously the energy was high on the field and from the stands as well. Yeah, I did score a goal here. That was one of my favorite goals as a pro. So
There you go.
I'm excited.
I was literally, it's on my list. I was waiting for you to mention it.
So that's definitely one of my favorite against Sacramento memories. But I'm looking to make more of those in a Sacramento shirt for sure in front of a home crowd like that. So. Yeah.
Any goal celebrations you got geared up for this year?
Not yet. We went over that in media day. Just like, oh, what goal celebrations do you have? I was like, I don't really have any. Just get excited.
Yeah. No, that's fair, man.
Yeah.
I think. So I was like, maybe if you do have one, is that like jinxing yourself that you have to score now? So maybe there's something to that.
Maybe so.
What about in terms of how Sacramento's crowd compares to around the league? You've played obviously pretty much everybody. I guess actually last year you did play everybody.
Yeah.
How does Sacramento's crowd compare to various around the leagues?
Man, you can be down on the field and you can just look up and like that's your answer. You can just the whole stadium is just surrounded, on three sides, of course, at least. But and the stands are just packed and people are up on their feet and. It's like nowhere else for sure.
Let's talk about the system that Sacramento plays. Obviously a 5 or 3 back system. You're playing more of a wing back type role on the right side. That's something that you've handled and done before. Is that where would you like much rather play in a 3 back system or a 5 back system rather than where you get to go forward, play forward more, you become a winger on many instances? Is that something you were excited about? I would assume, right? You want to be playing going forward.
Yeah,
more.
I'm definitely excited about playing more as a wing back. We played probably a little bit more in a 4 back at RGV, so playing as a wing back will be better and have more responsibility and opportunity in the attack than I've had in the past. So it should be good.
So Jack's obviously been here a couple years. How much conversations have you had with him about various things you do as a wing back? Obviously he proudly talks about how he runs the most every single game. Is that something that you're like, okay, well, I mean, Jack is a maniac at times. Maybe you're a little more reserved in that front. How are you trying to, take his advice and in the system and do your own things what you're good at as well?
Oh man, I might be able to give Jack a run for his money with the GPS numbers.
Okay.
But,
so far, has that been the case?
It's been it's been pretty close.
Okay.
It's been pretty close.
Oh man,
that's for sure.
That's good to know.
But no, he's very fit, very good player. And yeah, we have had a lot of conversations on tactically, our role. As well as, Dami and Aldair too.
Sure.
We all talk and kind of talk about, things we should be doing or things we could be doing better to help the team. So, yeah.
There's no assist, no goal competition between the 4 of you guys?
If anything, it's a little bit unspoken.
Okay.
There's always competition,
Right.
for a spot on the field and things like that.
Sure.
But I don't think there's anything, on paper that we've got down or anything like that.
Is there any sort of games that you are most excited out? Is there a team, an opponent that you're circling that you're ready for? Or is it just get to opening night and everything else?
Well, kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier with, Phoenix being, or just the sour taste that was left in Sacramento's mouth from that playoff game and the motivation. We played Louisville down in Phoenix, and Louisville really came at us. The guys talked about it. It's kind of from last year what happened when Louisville played here in Sacramento. And so there's just, I can already feel that rivalry a little bit. So I'm really excited about that Louisville game.
Yep.
Louisville, like a really nice stadium, draws a good crowd too. So it's going to be an exciting game, high energy, and so that's going to be a good one for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that a lot. Obviously, both teams have been kind of the top. Louisville top of the East. Sacramento's been top of the West for many, many years. Do you, as a player, pay attention to, oh man, that guy signed at this place. Wow, that team's going to be starting to really pick up a lot of players. They're going to be really good this year. Is that something you pay attention to in the offseason, or is it more of just like, let's wait and see until everybody start playing, then when a team's starting to play well and they're at the top of the table, then we'll take them seriously?
Definitely as each signing happens, you think about it a little bit less towards the beginning of the offseason. And, yeah, as the offseason progresses and you see, okay, they got this player, they got this player, and they got this player, like, oh, they might be, shaping up to be, a solid team this year. So Yeah, it gets more serious or real as the season approaches and they start to build their roster fully. But yeah, you're right. You never really know until a team can look great on paper, and then you never really know until the season. If they're gonna gel as a team, if they're gonna work for each other and things like that.
What is the communication, or how much communication? I know there's a lot, but what is the communication like on the field between you and you talked about the various? You talked about the right mid, you talked about the right winger. Potentially, sometimes it might be the striker coming up to hold up for a hold up play, or in the center backs. Like, what is the communication like so far in camp leading into opening night?
It's been good. There's been, we have, a system that we're, looking to play and a philosophy that we're looking to implement, and it's been good. We've made good progress with it. So I think we're all, on the same page in that. Obviously, little things can be tweaked here and there to kind of perfect what we're trying to do, but everything, looks pretty good as of now.
Has there any talk about, it's year 3 of this system, teams top of the West last year, teams may start game planning on how to beat this system. Is there any sort of conversations around, hey, I mean, there 100% is going to be a target on Sacramento's back just because of last year, but specifically the system and how teams are going to try and beat it?
We'll see.
Right.
That's
it's early.
Yeah, it's early, and that's in the other team's hands. So we're just going to do what we know how to do, and obviously prepping for each game might look a little bit different depending on the opponent. But I think we're, for the most part, sticking to what we know and going to make teams change to deal with us. Probably as much as we can.
What did you have fun at Media Day?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I don't love the camera and stuff like that. I know some of the guys like really love Media Day and being in
we
front of the
don't
camera,
need to talk about who those people
yeah,
are.
yeah.
I think we all know. We all know. Yeah.
Connor, yeah.
I think we all know who those people are. That's funny, man. But did you guys? I mean, obviously, it's cool to see how some of the pictures turn out and things like that. Have you guys gotten any of that stuff yet? I know they're
not
still
yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. I think the pictures we looked at ended up looking pretty cool, so I'm excited to see them too. What about? And we'll wrap up here in a second. What about just being in Sacramento and like, what are there? A lot of times guys come and they're like, okay, I want to go Tahoe, Bay Area, San Francisco. Maybe it's even further away. Like, are there places you're like, okay, throughout the season when we have breaks, here's where I'm looking to go? Do you kind of have those in mind or no?
Oh yeah, I've got a whole list on my phone, and my wife does too. So
that's great.
Yeah, we've got so many places we want to go. Tahoe being one of them.
Yep.
For sure. Way at the top of the list.
Because you haven't been able to do a ton of. I mean, have you spent a lot of time in California?
We had
before?
one off day that we went to. I'm forgetting the name of it now. We went to Stinson Beach and then Muir Beach Overlook, I think.
Yeah.
It was beautiful places. We did that one day, but other than that, we haven't really been anywhere outside of Sacramento.
Okay.
So
what's the list? Give us the list, man.
Oh man, there's so many areas.
So
like
Tahoe?
the Auburn area, Tahoe.
Auburn area.
Yeah, heard it's beautiful out there.
I just moved to Auburn, so
okay.
So I haven't explored yet, but I do know there's like Lake Clementine Falls, beautiful, simple hike. But yeah, beautiful area. Up
Yosemite,
there.
Of course.
Oh man,
that's a big one on the list.
So you're like an outdoorsy person.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I was super excited about coming here, because of a lot of those places as well.
Yeah.
After being in South Texas, there's not a whole lot, outdoors-wise to do down there, and it's 103, 105 degrees every single day. So, yeah, really looking forward to that, and my family loves the outdoors as well. My son loves being outside all the time, so it'll be great.
How old is your
really
son?
Excited. He'll be 2 in a month.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about any of the beaches you got? You're mostly going towards, I think, you're going east mostly from all the things you mentioned, Tahoe, Yosemite. Those are all relatively east. Are you trying to go towards the beach at all, too, or no?
Definitely, yeah. We went to that beach overlook, and it was really pretty. And the day that we went, it was actually, 65 and sunny, so we were able to enjoy some time on the beach down there too. But yeah, there's a lot of beach spots. I don't remember the names of all of them right now, but that we definitely want to head out west to and see more of the coast.
That's
for sure.
awesome, man. What about other sports? What are you a big football fan, basketball fan?
Basketball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's
I love
your team?
basketball. More of a college basketball guy. Kansas Jayhawks.
Fair.
My mom played basketball there.
Oh, really?
In the 80s. So yeah.
So you got
love
a tie
the
there.
Jayhawks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Played basketball just until like 8th grade. And then, actually, fun fact, I liked basketball more than soccer when I quit basketball.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just there wasn't a whole lot of basketball opportunity in the area. and thought, my chances were a little bit better moving in the
Seems
soccer
like that
direction, which
might
I
have-
love soccer too at the same time, but
Yeah.
I really had a hard time letting go of basketball.
Have you been to a Kings game yet?
Not yet. I really want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recommend
really
it.
wanna
Recommend
go.
it. Seems like the soccer choice worked out for you, though.
So far, so good.
So far, so
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
How long have we gone? Oh, man. Okay. Well, that's usually about when we wrap up. I
Okay.
wasn't sure. I was like, I can't tell because sometimes I forget. Conversation's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good,
yeah.
man. We're just sitting here. No, I think we're good. We can wrap up. Dude, excited to. Well, first, nice to meet you. Excited that you came on the pod. Excited to see you on the pitch this year.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you to see the fans on opening night. Should be a pretty wild atmosphere.
Yeah.
The pitch. Excited for you on the pitch
Yes.
to see the actual how clean the pitch is and just to see you out there, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Looking
Of course,
forward
man.
to it.
Yeah, dude. We'll have to do it again. So
Sounds good.
thank you, brother.